For decades, the continent of Africa has experienced numbers of serious cholera outbreaks. The cholera epidemic of 2008 swept across the country of Zimbabwe and imposed a threat to every one of its citizens. This epidemic was so consequential that the Zimbabwean government was forced to declare it a national emergency and ask for international aid. By the beginning of 2010, about 98,741 cases of cholera had been reported, as well as 4,293 deaths. By that time, the illness had been contained, yet national outbreaks are still a high concern. So what was this deadly disease sweeping over Zimbabwe? Well, it's an infectious disease that causes severe diarrhea that can lead to dehydration. It is quite a severe disease and can even cause death. Cholera is caused by eating or drinking food and water that is contaminated. The reason Zimbabwe's citizens were so prone to this disease was because they were forced to live in harsh, unsanitary conditions. The Zimbabwean government is neglecting its citizens' constitutional rights to water, health, and sanitation. Efforts to gain external funding, promotions for sanitation, as well as the increase of involvement in programs will open doors to the repair of water infrastructures and thus lead to a cleaner tomorrow. People will have access to cleaner water and thus have better health. In addition, the promotion of a more sanitary lifestyle will encourage people to live better lives and also influence youth to make changes, which is important for they are the future leaders of tomorrow. Currently, more than 60% of rural water supply infrastructures are in disrepair. This restricts people from being able to utilize proper sewage and forces them to defecate outdoors and in their communities' water sources. Having the government neglect its country's needs and rights to crucial necessities like running water has led to the spread of infectious bacteria and disease, and has ultimately cost them the lives of their innocent citizens. Over 60% of Zimbabwe's citizens don't have proper sewage in their homes. 40% of Zimbabweans in rural areas are thus forced to defecate outdoors in their community shared space. Not only is the forced practice of open defecation displeasing and inhumane, it also creates very unsanitary living conditions. On top of this, the poor are even less likely to have access to water and have a toilet. This is what leads Zimbabwe's citizens to becoming more and more prone to catching deadly diseases such as cholera. The epidemic in 2008 proves this risk factor. The fact that so many people have been affected by these certain illnesses has now reached a level of absurdity. Many are still prone to all of the widespread waterborne diseases. The Zimbabwe National Water Authority has diverted the untreated human waste into Lake Chivero. This lake serves as the city's main source of water. Having human waste put into Chivero leads to the contamination of what is left of Zimbabwe's clean water. The degrading of Zimbabwean citizens' main source of water is putting people at high risk levels of falling ill and thus putting the country's population in serious danger. To address this country's downfall in health, the Zimbabwean government has made efforts to regain financial stability. With the right amount of external funding, Zimbabwe would be able to follow through on their projects and gradually rehabilitate their country. Due to the people's inability to consume the water from its main sources, citizens are forced to purchase bottled water. Thus, bottled water has gradually become what many rely on. Now supplies are running low. This is only building up to a more serious consequence. A country's people will be left without any water. No more bottled water will push people to collect their drinking water from the contaminated bodies of water. But with funding and newly found financial stability, this won't be a problem for any longer. Not only would it rehabilitate the country's water infrastructures, it would also temporarily restock people's homes with bottled water for the duration of the projects. In addition, financial stability would have a huge positive effect on the lives of citizens and will help reinforce a sanitary lifestyle. So as we can see, money is a key element in Zimbabwe's rehabilitation. Yet money is hard to attain, especially such high amounts that are necessary for finding plausible solutions. Financial instability is the main cause for the disrepair of water infrastructures in Zimbabwe. This led to the bad chain reaction that we've been able to witness. This horrendous cycle of problems is only growing bigger and bigger. For example, since water is contaminated, people are forced to buy bottled water, but resources are now running low since too many rely on it, and thus they are forced to provide themselves with what's left in the contaminated lake. And currently, there is no external funding that is helping to fix this problem, so matters are only getting worse and worse as time goes by, spreading more and more illnesses and affecting citizens that deserve no less than clean and running water. This is why we need to help. Could you imagine your life without running water in your home, being forced to defecate outdoors, having family members that are terribly ill and in risk of dying? Seems crazy, right? Well, it's real, and sadly, it's pretty ordinary in the country of Zimbabwe. So let's get to work and start raising awareness. Let's open up new opportunities for external funding in order to change the lives of these citizens. With money, Zimbabwe's government could repair all of the water infrastructures and promote a healthier, more sanitary lifestyle. This will teach the country's citizens to advocate for better living conditions and thus influence the youth to keep the cycle going, leading to the brighter and cleaner future Zimbabwe deserves.